you go, go.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live boxing ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live. Terence Bud Crawford, his weight gain for a potential Canelo Alvarez fight is now being questioned by people in the industry. In this video, that's what I'm going to talk about. We're going to break it down. Ego Weight Watchers Special Edition, aka ILL, where I give you a look into the fighter lifestyle before, after, and progress picks, especially when they have an upcoming fight. Now, the Canelo fight is not official. There's steps. Canelo has to get past William Skull. And, like, despite him being the favorite and whatnot, you still got to let it play out. It's disrespectful. I mean, William Skull himself said that. It's disrespectful, like how they just writing me off and counting me out before the fight. So, things have to play out. Fighters get injured, mishaps, failed PED test, all types of stuff be happening in boxing. Y'all know. So, I want to talk about... There's a strength and conditioning coach named Rob Acosta, and he has some things where I thought he was cooking. He was saying some very interesting things, and I want to go over his quotes and give my thoughts. He told Fight Hype in a brand new interview, Terence Crawford has come from 154 pounds. He's going to skip 160, go straight into 168 to fight Canelo Alvarez. Let's say that Crawford walks around at 180 pounds. He's going to then have to come down those 12 pounds to make the weight at 168, right? He says, and I quote, Crawford, he ate his way up to 180 pounds. Understand that. He didn't work out his way up to 180. That's the difference. So if you're going to eat your way up to a higher, heavier weight, assuming because you sparred heavier guys, assuming you could perform at top level against a guy like Canelo, who has been there numerous times and is very comfortable at this weight, and coming down from heavier weights, that is a whole different animal. The last 2 weeks of every camp is always the most critical because that's when the dumbest things can go wrong. People get injured and whatnot. It is super hard to come from 154 all the way up to 168 within a specific time frame and perform as if you were at 140, 147, 154. We already seen what happened when Crawford went from 147 to 154. It wasn't a bad performance. Crawford took some good shots. He took them well. What do you think is going to happen at 168? Canelo has been hit by Triple G, one of the hardest punchers in boxing. Do you mean to tell me that Crawford is just going to go up and clean him out? I don't see that happening. What is it that Crawford is going to rehydrate to? Maybe 175 pounds? You walk around at that weight. Let's see what happens when you go in there with a top competitor like Canelo. The man was cooking. Now, the funny thing is, people get mad on my channel when I say I told you so. But guess what? Surprise, I told you so. This is exactly what I've been saying regarding this fight. I've hated the fight ever since the fight was talked about. Crawford himself, and I have the video, and I'm about to expose a lot of y'all. Because we got a lot of, it's frustrating, I guess you could say, when you know what you're talking about and you have imbeciles who are super casual and they try to tell you that what you're saying doesn't make logical sense from a boxing perspective, and then they feed you with something that really don't make sense. There is a video of Crawford like last year, a year and a half ago, after the Errol Spence fight, somewhere around that, right? Where Crawford said, you fans don't know about boxing. My ceiling is 154 pounds. So he was talking about finishing his career at 154. Now, because you want to make money, because you got this Turkey likes you or whatever, and Turkey probably pitched it to you because he got all these weird ideas fighting in Alcatraz and Statue of Liberty and all this stuff. And probably Crawford's team. You got a lot of yes men from what I've seen. Crawford can do no wrong. He's perfect. So between all these factors, this fight is now something that looks like it could materialize. And I've always hated it. I'm not a fan of rapid weight class jumping. You got a guy like Manny Pacquiao, far more accomplished than Terence Crawford, way better resume than Terence Crawford, more legendary in every way than Terence Crawford, a very good fighter, right? And I believe he is going to fight me, right? It's Pacquiao. Pacquiao, I have the interview. When he fought Margarito at a catchweight, he didn't even fight at the full 154. He fought him at a catchweight, 150 something. He said at the time that was one of his hardest fights, if not his hardest fight, because of the weight class. He said it just felt different. So Pacquiao at that point had been fighting at 147, right? Fought Oscar De La Hoya at 147. Cotto, at the catchweight, I think 144, right? So pretty much welterweight. And Pacquiao, this great legend, told you fighting at a catchweight. He didn't even fight at the full 154. But given the fact that Margarito's 5'10", 5'11", has a strong jaw, a chin, he said that fight was super difficult. We all watched Crawford fight Madrimov. Like, look, boxing, your last fight, your last piece of work is your audition tape. At best, since Crawford's name was being mentioned with Canelo, he would have had to look far sharper to me for this conversation of a Canelo fight. And he didn't. I'm not mad he beat Madrimov. To my knowledge, from what I've seen, Virgil Ortiz beat him better. But I'm not mad saying Crawford beat Madrimov. It was a pretty close fight, and it looked like Crawford's experience and his bite down, he wanted it a bit more towards the end. No problem. So, cool. Crawford bit down, but the fight was dummy close. And then I think Crawford edged it in the back half. He had a sense of urgency, hey, I got to step on the gas a bit, right? Fair play. But if you're going life or death with the guy that got 11 fights at 154 and he putting a mouse under your eye, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. For me, it just don't make sense. It don't make sense to go from virtually kind of struggling, Marquette. And it's funny because when I say this stuff, y'all look at me sideways and say, oh, you're hating on Bud. But everybody else in boxing after me can say what I've been telling you, and it's all good. You got Acosta, he's saying all the same things I said about Crawford's weight. You have Juan Manuel Marquez. I already made a video about it. Check that out. He says, I don't like this fight for Crawford. He's a good fighter, but I don't like this weight versus Canelo. And he said he had no power versus Madrimov. So I'm in great company. You buffoons in the comment section can keep hating and saying I don't know what I'm talking about. Meanwhile, the actual stars of the sport, former champions, respected trainers, they're all saying what I was saying. Mikey Garcia's and people who've sparred with both Crawford and Canelo. They're talking about, oh man, maybe that catch weight. Well, there ain't no catch weight. Canelo ain't finna give you that. Period. Canelo is not finna give Crawford any this again. You're maybe high off the Errol Spence win because I noticed something very bizarre with the Bud Buddies. When I talk about a new fight that is being proposed for later this year, Crawford versus Canelo, for some strange reason, the Bud Buddies start talking about Errol Spence. The fact that you bring up Errol Spence's name, you've already lost me. You know why? Because what does Errol Spence have to do with Canelo, a Mexican fighter at 168? They don't fight alike. They're not the same ethnicity. They're not the same measurements. They don't have the same style. Canelo hasn't went through a car wreck. Canelo doesn't have the inactivity that Errol Spence had. So I don't know. Errol lost to Crawford. Cool. Bad night in the office. But what does that have to do with the next guy? You know what I mean? So it shows me the feeble-minded pea-brains of boxing fans that you would even mention Errol Spence as if somehow there's a correlation between him at 147 with his individual story and in Canelo. It's like, what are we talking about? Like, the fact that you're comparing two fighters that don't fight alike in different divisions, you don't know about boxing. It's not like, so if this guy, so if let's say Sugar Ray Leonard beats Marvin Hagler, and then I'm like, oh, so Amir Khan will beat Marvin Hagler. It doesn't work that way because Amir Khan don't got the chin of a Sugar Ray Leonard. So what are you talking about? You know, or some people thought Hagler won the fight. So if Hagler beat Leonard, right? I'm like, oh, Hagler beat Leonard, so Amir Khan would. Again, what are you talking about? Amir Khan is his own fighter with his own style, his own pluses and minuses, strengths and weaknesses. Because one guy has success, does nothing. It has nothing to do with the next person. And you also have different like happenstance and circumstances. Like, let's say Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach. I don't think Tank was mad at Roach initially. I don't think he had like animosity and ill will towards him. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to say Tank wasn't trying, but I think Tank is better when he creates an enemy, when he has like a nemesis, when the pressure is on, so to speak. And coming up with Lamont Roach being from the same region, I don't think it was like, I don't know about the rematch. I'm not talking about the rematch. I'm talking about the first fight. But in the first fight, I don't think he viewed Lamont Roach as like the threat that he could have. You know what I mean? So I doubt that Tank will make that same mistake again with Lamont Roach. But you can't interchange Devin Haney or Shakur or Keyshawn Davis and say, oh, Lamont Roach did good. Well, it's a whole different shebang. Different fighters. Maybe Lamont Roach knows Tank extra because he actually fought him already, right? In actual amateur fights, not sparring, right? So there's so many different nuanced things that create certain outcomes in the sport of boxing. So the fact that people bring up Errol Spence when it has nothing, like literally nothing to do with Canelo. Canelo didn't go through a car wreck. Canelo hasn't been out the ring for a year. If anything, you're proving my point that this fight is foolish because Crawford is opting for no tune-up, and he's the guy with no experience higher than 160 and only one fight at 154. And then the guy who's been fighting 160 plus since the Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fight, which was a long time ago before the pandemic, right? That's the guy that's taking the fight in May. I mean, this whole thing is stupid. And Crawford, he keeps saying that he'll be top 3. It's very sneaky, and the world of boxing just hasn't caught on yet. But I noticed what Crawford is doing is he's almost trying to manufacture his resume. Like, his resume is not that tough, but he's banking on, like, I beat one guy, Errol Spence, to be undisputed twice. No one had done that. I had beaten Dongo and been undisputed. Now I'll beat Canelo. So he's just looking at it from, like, running up the numbers, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like LeBron James, if I just stay in the league for 20 plus years and then score a certain amount of points and build my stats up, now people will say I'm better than Jordan. But I don't think it really works like that, for real, for real. I really don't. Because Jordan did everything he did in this window. He went to the playoffs every time he got a ring. It's just different. LeBron been in the league and just staying in the league trying to up his stats. You know what I mean? That's kind of what Crawford is doing. But the boxing version is like, you're trying to get like milestones and accolades without having people deep dive into who you were, who the person was, the timing of it, how it happened. You just want to be like, hey, I'm 3X undisputed. That's it. You know what I mean? But the people who are real historians of the sport, they're going to look at his resume and be like, it's kind of thin. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm lying, I'm flying. Well, y'all know I ain't lying, though. Like, for example, you look at any fighter who is automatically, like, regarded as legend status and compare, like, Floyd Mayweather, Roy Jones Jr., James Toney, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, these guys, right? All these Pacquiaos, Oscar De La Hoya, B-Hop, Andre Ward. You look at every single person, Crawford's resume, literally everyone I just named has a better resume. I'm not even being funny. And this is like a freestyle video. I just threw out names that came to me. It just popped up. Literally, Terence Crawford has the worst resume out of all of those people. Pacquiao, I mean, that's common sense. Floyd, B-Hop, who else did I say? Lennox, Evander, Andre Ward. I mean, Andre Ward, and see, like, you also got to look at relevance. Andre Ward fought people in their prime in a tournament. He fought Chad Dawson when he was still relevant. Not like a faded Chad Dawson. He fought Kovalev when he was an undefeated crusher and he had unalived a man, right? Different stuff. Crawford's best win is what? Errol Spence post-accident. Madrimov, who had been a champion for like 2 months. You know, an older Canelo he's going after. An older Canelo. You know, still a risk because of the weight, but I'm being real. It's like it's kind of manufactured a bit. It's kind of manufactured. And I'm not saying that Crawford has not done any good things. He has, but his resume historically does not stack well. Like, I would really argue that Errol Spence fought people at way tougher times. Sean Porter had been through like ups and downs in his career, Kell Brooks and Keith Thurman, and beating Danny Garcia. You know what I mean? Like, Sean Porter was a champion. He had just beaten Ugas, close fight. Errol beat Ugas after his Pacquiao fight. Arguably, he beat Sean Porter. You know what I mean? Like, Mikey Garcia was undefeated. Just do your homework. I'm not finna go through everybody's, even though I easily could, I'm not going to. Because I've already went over it. Crawford, he a good little fighter. But it's like he's letting people do the heavy lifting. Like Canelo literally went through the division and achieved all the belts. And Crawford keeps getting this Willy Wonka gold ticket where he can advance to the end of the game, and all he has to do is beat someone in 36 minutes, and then he keeps getting opportunities to set these milestones of like 2x and 3x undisputed. So he's been fortunate. When he was with Top Rank, he couldn't get the big fight. So, luck is on his side now that it's played out. Errol Spence gave up a lot in negotiations that he shouldn't have to Crawford. And then now Turkey is insistent on this foolish fight with Canelo. So he's being given the opportunity. But to me, it's kind of contrived. I don't like the fight. I agree with the strength and conditioning coach, Acosta. It's Crawford. He looks like he's bigger, but he doesn't look in better shape. He doesn't look more toned, more dialed. It doesn't look natural on him, right? Like, have you ever seen somebody who used to, like a celebrity? I could think of people, but I don't want to put them on blast. But have you ever seen a celebrity and they're big, like huge, and then they do like one of those gastric bypasses, the gastric bypass surgery, or Ozempic, and they lose a lot of weight real fast? It's the reverse of that, right? Where you see this celebrity and they had the added weight, but then they do drugs or Ozempic or gastric surgeries and this type of stuff, and then they get real tiny and shrink, and it almost looks unnatural. Like, dang, you lost all that weight quick, right? Like I said I wasn't going to say a name, but people were posting a picture I seen of Jessica Simpson, and she lost a lot of weight, and her face was showing it, and people were like, man, she looked different. We'll just leave it at that. She looked different, and people were worried about her because of how it was looking with the, see what I'm saying? With the added weight loss, because she didn't, you know what I mean? Like, she didn't look like that before. I'm trying to find that picture I seen. There's this other picture. Nah, these ain't the ones. I gotta find the other picture. Nah, we getting there. We getting close, but that ain't it. Nah, some of these newer pictures, I don't know. But anyway, Crawford is the same thing. He's just the reverse. He's going in, instead of losing weight, he's going in the opposite direction. But it don't look better. He looked better and like brolic and built and like stout, and like he looked good at 154. For real. Like on the scale, pause. On the scale, he looked better at 154. Now you're just like probably overeating protein shakes, eating steak or, red meats or things with iron, fish, whatever he eats. I don't know if he's pescatarian or whatever, but you're doing all this stuff and like lifting. But boxing is different. Like, it's not a Creed movie. Like Crawford bulking up. Like if Michael B. Jordan said, I want you to be in Creed 4, because he was in the third one, and if he's like, I want you to be the bad guy in part 4, then that would make sense, because it's like Conor McGregor in Roadhouse. He got super big to look big versus Jake Gyllenhaal in the final fight scene. It's good when you're just trying to look big and aesthetic on camera. You're not. You're fighting Canelo, who could fight at 168, and you have to be able to perform functionally with the added weight. Like, for example, what I've seen in boxing is guys will bulk up. They might even look good, but if they don't get the desired results in the first 4 or 5 rounds, that's where it really starts to take its toll on the fighter. So if Crawford is not like blown Canelo Alvarez out the water by the halfway mark, I think it's going to, as the fight wears on, it's going to probably be more and more dangerous for him because you never know. You never know how on the fight night you could feel flat. You got the extra muscles and you need the extra oxygen. It's a lot going on. You know what I mean? So I don't like it. He's also gaining weight. I don't know exactly when he started, but it looks relatively soon. I mean, even if he had a year to bulk up, it's not just bulking up for a photo shoot or a movie like I'm saying. You have to bulk up. How you going to bulk up your chin? You know what I mean? How you going to bulk that chin up? This is just not how boxing works, right? You don't just bulk up power in a year. Power, you're either born with it or not. Crawford has showed power, but in my opinion, and this is, some people don't really know boxing, Crawford's power is overstated, I want to say. I think Crawford is a cunning fighter. He's a sharp puncher. That's why he gets guys in trouble. But per capita, he not like Beterbiev or Tank, where he just hits you and they're on spaghetti legs. He hit Errol with everything but the kitchen sink. Errol, if he was a puncher like Gervonta or Wilder in his prime, or Beterbiev or Julian Jackson, Errol Spence would not have made it as far as he made it, and he would not be wanting to keep fighting like he wanted to keep fighting. So Crawford is sharp, and he has some power, but that's in the lighter divisions anyway. How is that power going to look at 168? You know what I mean? I think I think the biggest selling point is curiosity here. But I don't know that people are so curious that they're going to go out in droves to, or like order the fight crazy because they're that curious. But we'll see. It is what it is. Let me know what you guys think. The strength and conditioning coach had a lot of the same viewpoints that I had.